On the lateral side, you will find this is your thoracic vertebrae, right? So this is your anterior view. This is your posterior view, okay? And here you will find this is your lateral view, right? So if you will see how the vertebrae they are just articulating with each other, that you can see that here is one of the thoracic vertebrae and here is another thoracic vertebrae, right? And they just articulate with each other, no? And in between that you'll find a gap over here, right? So this gap is for the intervertebral disc, okay? So the intervertebral disc that actually mm, what is that situates in between the body of the two vertebrae, okay? So the thoracic spine whole you can see here, that is the second segment of the vertebral column. Okay, that is located between your cervical spine above and the lumbar spine below. Right. In between the lumbar spine and the cervical spine, you'll find the 12 uh, thoracic vertebrae, okay, which are separated by the intervertebral disc, no, that will be present in between the body of the vertebrae, okay. So along with the sternum that you can see, this is the sternum over here, because this is the lateral view. So here you'll find the sternum, okay, and here you'll find the ribs, right? So the thoracic spine that forms the part of your thoracic cage, okay, and this bony structure helps protect the internal viscera that will be present inside this thoracic cage, okay, that is mainly the heart, lungs and the esophagus, right? So here we will look at the osteology of the thoracic vertebra, and we'll examine their characteristic features and the joints and the clinical correlation, right? So just we'll isolate over here one bone, one of the thoracic vertebrae, okay, and we'll see how it looks like, right? Okay, so here you can see this is your thoracic vertebrae from the anterior view, okay. So if you'll see it from the top, it is just looking like this. Just 1 minute, right? So this is the top view or the superior view of the thoracic vertebrae, okay, and this is your lateral view of the thoracic vertebrae, okay, and here you can see this is your inferior view of the thoracic vertebrae, and this is your anterior view of the thoracic vertebrae, right? So here we will see that the mainly the characteristic features of the thoracic vertebrae, right? So this thoracic vertebrae that you can observe over here, that is that have four features, okay, mainly that distinguish from the other vertebrae, okay. What is that? Number one is your vertebral body, right? This is the vertebral body which is heart shaped, okay. In other vertebrae you will not find the body is in heart shape, okay. And in the thoracic vertebrae, what you'll find, you'll find the demifacet over here, no, here you'll find a facet, here you'll find another facet. So if you'll see it from the lateral side, you can see, no. So here you can see this is one demifacet. Demi means half, no, and facet, right? Here is one demifacet, and here also you can find another demifacet, right? So presence of the demifacet on the side of each vertebral body, no, and these demifacets they articulate with the head of your ribs, no, the head of the ribs that articulate with this demifacet, okay. And you'll find here another facet over here. So this is your transverse process, no, here you can see this is the transverse process. This is one side, this is another side of the transfer process. No, and this is the spinous process, right? So at the transfer process, also you'll get here another facet, right? So this facet is the costal facet, coastal facet on the side of each vertebral body. Here also you'll find, and here also you'll find, right, the facet. So this is the coastal facet. Okay, so this coastal facet that actually presented the transfer process. Okay, and in the reefs you will find a tubercle. Okay, so the tubercle of that reefs that actually articulates here with the coastal facet. Okay, and this coastal facet that is present from the T1 vertebra to T10 vertebra only. Okay, you will not find the coastal facet in T11 and T12 thoracic vertebrae. Right, this is the identification point. Here you will find the spinous process. Now, here you will find the spinous process, right? So this spinous process is very long, okay, and that is slant inferiorly. You can observe, right? You will not find this type of spinous process in other vertebrae. Okay, in other vertebrae you will find it is straight, transversely going backward, but it is going backward and downward. Okay, that is the main speciality, the characteristic feature of the thoracic vertebrae. Okay, and that prevents any object such as the knife or anything else entering into the spinal cord. Okay, due to this, if someone will stab from the back side, no, so the spinous process will prevent that, because just here you'll find the vital organs, no, the lungs and the heart, esophagus, no, like that. Okay, now here you'll see the superior end uh, and the inferior costal facet. No, here you'll find the superior costal facet, and here you'll find the inferior costal facet. No, so these are the demifacets, right? So the superior and the inferior costal facet, they are located on the side of each vertebral body. Okay, and they consist of cartilage. No, it is covered by the cartilage. Okay, so that is, you can say, the demifacet, it will be lined by the cartilage. Okay, with the depression, right, which articulate with the head of the ribs, and the superior facet that articulate with the head of adjacent rib, means if it is T6, it will articulate with the sixth rib. Okay, and the inferior facet that you'll find over here, that articulate with the head of the ribs below, right? So here, if it is T6 thoracic vertebra, then the sixth rib will articulate over here. Okay, and the seventh rib will articulate over here, right? Along with that, if you'll find another vertebra over here, then superior facet will articulate with the seventh rib, and some tip that will articulate with the here with the inferior facet. Okay, so in the majority of the vertebra, that is from T2 to T9, these facets are demifacet. Okay, but in T1, okay, that will find only a single facet will be there in T1, right? Because the thoracic vertebrae, that is 12 in number, and we can divide this thoracic vertebrae into two categories. Okay, that is atypical vertebrae and the typical vertebrae, right? So from the T2 to T9, that is actually typical vertebrae. Typical means what? They have the common characteristic features. Okay, but the T1, T10, T11 and T12, okay, they are actually atypical vertebrae. Okay, atypical vertebrae means they don't have the same feature that the other typical vertebrae they have. right? So here you can see this is your T1 vertebrae, okay, and here you'll find this T2, T3, T4 like that. No, so if you'll just isolate the T1, you can find that this is your T1. Observe over here, right? So this is the anterior view of the T1, okay, and here you'll find the transfer process of the T1, okay, both the side, and this is your superior articular facet, okay, sorry, process, okay, and this is your superior view, okay, and this is the anterior side, right? So now if we will see from the top, okay, here you can see the thoracic, first thoracic vertebrae, and here you can observe that the spinous process is, it is not going downward, no, it was something transversely present, no, but in we have studied that in thoracic vertebrae the spinous process going downward, no. So here it is something different feature, okay, and here you'll see the demifacet, the complete facet over here. No, in the side of the thoracic vertebrae, first vertebrae, you will find there is a complete facet. That means the first rib that articulates whole of the rib, that is articulate over here at the T1. Okay, and that doesn't have any other vertebral body articulation. But here at this site, you can see there is a small demifacet. No, and this demifacet is for the second rib because the second rib articulates the T2. Along with that, its upper vertebra, right? So some part of the second rib that also articulates with here. That's why it has one complete facet and another demifacet. Okay, but in typical vertebrae, you'll find both are demifacet. Okay, but in atypical vertebrae, particularly in T1, you'll find a complete facet and a demifacet, right? And here the transfer process, here also you'll find the costal facet for the transverse process, okay. So the T1 you'll find the superior facet, that is not the demifacet, okay, as this is only vertebrae to articulate with the first rib, okay. Then like that you will find another vertebrae, that is the T10 vertebrae, okay. So if you'll see, okay, so here you can see the 10th thoracic vertebrae, right? So in 10th thoracic vertebrae, what you will see that in typical vertebrae, what we got, the spinous process was very long, okay, and that is very slant and downward, no. But here you will see this is very much wider and shorter, no. Here you will not find the long spinous process. You will find the short spinous process, okay. And here also you'll find a single pair of whole facet, okay, that is present with articulate with the 10th rib, okay. You'll not find the demifacet at the below, okay, only you'll find a single whole facet, okay, that is present at the side of the vertebral body, okay. And that is actually present across the pedicle, okay. If you will see other vertebrae, that you will find this demifacet is at the vertebral body, okay, but here you will see this is the pedicle, no, and this is the body. So this facet that is at the T10, that is present with the which articulates the 10th rib, that is present across the both the vertebral body and the pedicle, no. In the junction you will find the facet, right? Like that in T11 and T12, what will find, they have also the single pair of entire costal facet, okay, and that will be present only at the pedicle, okay, that will be not present in the vertebral body, right? So this is how the atypical vertebrae, they are different from the typical vertebrae. Clear? Now we'll see the joints, right? So the joints of this thoracic spine, that you can observe here, Okay, here also. So we have just hidden the two vertebrae, two ribs over here. No, here you can see this is the joint. No, here you will find one vertebrae. Okay, and here you'll find another vertebrae. No, and they have their processes here. No, so this is your articular process. Okay, this is your superior articular process. Okay, and here you'll find the inferior articular process, right? So the inferior articular process of the upper vertebra and the superior articular process of the lower vertebra, they just makes a joint over here. Okay, and that is also lined by the cartilage, right? So these thoracic spine, they can be divided into again the two groups. Okay, those are that is present throughout the vertebral column, and those are very unique to the thoracic spine. Okay, so what is the joints that is present throughout the vertebral column? Okay, so these are mainly two types of joints present throughout the vertebral column, that is between the vertebral body. No, one vertebral body to another vertebral body. Okay, and they are separated by a intervertebral disc. No, so if you will see the intervertebral disc, you can observe over here. Okay, now you can see here you'll find the intervertebral disc. No, so this intervertebral disc that actually uh, uh, present between the joints, okay, of one vertebral body to another vertebral body, right? And this intervertebral disc, that is made up of mainly the fibro cartilage. Okay, and this is the type of your cartilaginous joint. Okay, that's why I told you to remember the joints, ligaments, tendons, muscles, and everything. Okay, so that it will be helpful now, and now not in future also, right? So this is the type of cartilaginous joint. Okay, and that is known as your symphysis. Why? Because it is present at the median plane. Okay, then another joint that will form between the vertebral arch. No, that is formed by the articulation of your, what is that, superior articular facet or process with the inferior articular process. No, uh, in between that, so that is formed by articulation of the superior and the inferior articular process from the adjacent vertebrae. Okay, and it is mainly the synovial type of joint. Here you can see this is a superior articular process, and here you'll find the inferior articular process, not this green one. This green one is the ligaments that will come right now. Okay, so the so this type, this the intervertebral joint. Okay, uh, between the body and between the articular processes. Okay, that is present throughout the thoracic spine. No, so what is the unique to thoracic spine? Okay, because this type of joint that is present in cervical vertebrae also, this is present in lumbar vertebrae also. No, in thoracic vertebrae also. So this type of the intervertebral uh, mm, joints, no, that is present whole over the spine. But what is unique to this thoracic spine, that is the articulation between the vertebra, right, and the ribs over here. Okay, the ribs, no, that is the unique to the thoracic spine. So for each rib, here you can see this is the your ribs. No, so this ribs, no, so for each rib there are two separate articulations. One is to the corresponding uh, vertebrae. Okay, and another is to this, what is that, transverse process. No, here you can see the body of the ribs that articulate with the corresponding thoracic vertebrae along with the upper thoracic vertebrae. That is one articulation, and another articulation is here. No, to the, what is that, to the transfer process. No, here you will see this facet. No, so this facet that articulates, here you will find the tubercle of the ribs. So this tubercle of the ribs that articulate with this articular facet, costal facet that is present over the transverse process. No, so you can say the costovertebral joint. No, you can say because it is from the ribs to the vertebra. No, so you'll find the costovertebral joint that is actually consist of head of the ribs, okay, and articulating with the superior costal facet of the corresponding vertebra and the inferior costal facet of the superior vertebra, okay, and that also articulates with the intervertebral disc, no, that is separating the two vertebrae. Clear? So this is known as your costovertebral joint, right? And another that is your costotransverse. No, here you can see the costotransverse means from the ribs to the transfer process of the uh, uh, thoracic rib. No, so within this joint here, no, in the costovertebral joint, you will find the intra-articular ligament of the head of the ribs that attaches to the rib of the head to the intervertebral disc. Okay, that is the only site that is makes the gliding movement. Okay, and that can occur the joints due to the close articulation of their components with this vertebral body and the intravertebral disc. Okay, and the costal transverse that you can see over here. So this costal transverse joint, they are actually formed by the articulation of the transverse process. Okay, that will find over here. Here it is hidden, but you can see from this side. Okay, cost costal transverse means it is formed by the articulation of the transverse process of the thoracic vertebra and the tubercle of the adjacent, oh, what is that, rib. No, and they are present in all the vertebrae, but except T11 and T12. No, because they are the floating ribs that you can observe over here. Okay, here you can see this is your T11. Okay, and this is your T12. Okay, they are not articulating with the transverse process. Okay, so they don't have the costotransverse joints. Okay, that is the only exception at this thoracic joints. Okay, like that we'll have the ligaments. No, so whole over this thoracic vertebra that is actually lined by here the, here you can see in green. No, this is your anterior longitudinal ligament. Okay, so this anterior longitudinal ligament that you can observe over here from this side, it is a ribbon like structure. No, that is coming from the cervical spine to downward. Okay, that is long ligament that run the length of your whole over the vertebral column, not only at the thoracic spine. Okay, so that is covering to the vertebral bodies and the intervertebral disc. So see here, you will find this is the ribs, right? Clear? So these ribs, they articulate with the thoracic vertebrae in two different way. Okay, what is that? One is they articulate with the vertebral body. Okay, and another they articulate with the transverse process. Now here you can observe they articulate with the transfer process also. So this is the transfer process, this is your spinous process, right? So these ribs, they articulate with the transfer process of the thoracic vertebrae. Okay, and they also articulate with the vertebral body over here. Now, and here you can see this is the head of the ribs. Okay, so they articulate with the demifacet of corresponding vertebra along with the superior thoracic vertebra. Okay, so if it is seventh rib, then it will articulate with the superior demifacet of seventh thoracic vertebrae along with the inferior articular facet of sixth thoracic vertebrae. Now we'll see the ligaments. Okay, so this after these two joints, you will find the ligaments, right? So ligaments means you'll find here the anterior vertebral body, right? So at the vertebral body, you'll find the anterior longitudinal ligament, okay? And here at this region, no, at the posterior surface of the vertebral body. So see, if this is the vertebral body, here is the anterior surface of vertebral body. This is the posterior surface of vertebral body. This is the lateral surface of vertebral body. Okay. So at the anterior surface, you will find a ribbon-like structure, that is the anterior longitudinal ligament. Okay. And here you will find there will be the posterior longitudinal ligament. So if you return back to see where is the posterior longitudinal ligament, you can observe, right? So here you can see, if you will see from the top, no, here you can see this is the posterior longitudinal ligament. Anteriorly you will find anterior longitudinal ligament. Posteriorly you will find the posterior longitudinal ligament. Okay. So here you will find another ligament. Okay. So these ligaments are known as your triradiate ligament. Okay. These are known as your TRI, radiate ligament, triradiate ligament. Okay. So this triradiate ligament that actually attaches to the head of the corresponding ribs to the upper vertebra and the lower vertebra and to the vertebral intervertebral disc. No. So here you can see this whole is the ligament. So this ligament, it attaches from the head of the ribs to the articular vertebral body in this way. It also articulates with the upper vertebra. So it has also the same ligaments. It also articulates with the intervertebral disc. No. So you'll find three ligaments. The superior costovertebral ligament, the inferior costovertebral ligament, and here you'll find the costo-intervertebral ligament. So these three ligaments combinedly known as your triradiate ligament. Any doubt? One is superior costovertebral ligament, okay, to the ribs to the upper vertebra. Inferior costovertebral ligament, that is from the corresponding ribs to corresponding body of the vertebra. Okay, and you'll find the costo-intervertebral ligament. Okay, that is present between the superior and inferior costovertebral ligament. You'll find the costo-intervertebral ligament that attaches to the head of the ribs to the intervertebral disc. Okay, so that three ligaments combinedly known as your triradiate ligament. Okay, so it is fan shaped, no, fan shaped ligament that attaches to the head of the rib to the bodies of the two vertebrae, no, and also to the intervertebral disc. Clear? Then here you will find another ligament. Okay, so this ligament that is known as your costo-transverse ligament. Okay, costo-transverse means from the transfer process to your tubercle of your ribs. No, that makes the costo-transverse joint. Okay, so the ligament will be costo-transverse ligament. So it has also so many things. Lateral costo-transverse, superior costo-transverse. Okay, but you just remember right now as a costo-transverse ligament, because in ribs we will cover that. Okay, then here in between the spinous process to spinous process, right? There you will find another ligament. Okay, so that ligament will be interspinous ligament. Okay, I will try to show you here.
Interspinous
ligament, this one.
Inter or intra?
Inter, I-N-T-E-R, in between. Intra means inside. Okay, so it is interspinous ligament. Okay, that means in between the spinous process of the thoracic vertebrae. Okay, it is not only the thoracic vertebrae but present whole over your spine. Okay, so this is the interspinous ligament. Okay, like that here you will find another ligament here. Okay, this green color, can you see it? A thread like structure running downward here, no? On the posterior side you can see. Okay, this is another ligament. So this ligament is known as your supraspinous ligament. From the tip of the spinous process to tip of the spinous process. Okay, that is running downward, right? That is your supraspinous ligament. Clear? You will find this is your pedicle. Okay, and here is the transfer process. This is the one lamina. This is another lamina. Both laminae they united together and makes the spinous process. And this is your superior articular process. Superior articular process, right? So what you'll find in between the laminae to laminae. Okay, see this green one, right? Green one visible, everyone? That is the ligament from the lamina to lamina. Again from the lamina to another lamina. Okay, so this is your ligamentum flava. FLAVA. Okay, the singular is flavum. Okay,
Can you mark
FLA,
that one? The flabber? Where is it?
it connects the laminae. Here you can see the green color.
Okay, that one. Okay.
Yeah, connects the lamina of adjacent vertebrae. Okay, and this is known as a ligamentum flavum in singular, but plural it is ligamentum flava. Okay, and that is present not only the thoracic vertebrae, it will be present whole over the spine. Okay, see the kyphosis spine.
Kyphosis is a condition in which there is abnormal curvature of the upper back. The thoracic spine has a normal curvature of 20 to 40 degrees. Any greater than this is considered to be thoracic kyphosis. Kyphosis may cause back pain, stiffness, neurologic deficit, or cardiopulmonary compromise.
Tumors. No, that is your thoracic tumor.
Sir, what is the ideal angle? 20 to 30 degrees.
Abnormal cells which may have originated in the spine or spread from another site. Tumors of the thoracic spine can occur on
See,
part of the thoracic
here
vertebrae.
what we got? The spinal cord, right? And this spinal cord, from this only we are getting the spinal nerves. No, they are coming out. Okay, so they are coming out through the intervertebral foramen. Okay, that is formed by the superior and inferior articular facet.
As a result, injury to a nerve or spinal cord can cause pain, sensory loss, weakness, or paralysis.
So if any tumor will be there, no, that may compress to the spinal cord and will lose the same side. Okay, the sensory loss will be there, pain will be there, radiating to the particular angle, no, and infection may spread, no, from that side to downward or upward. Here you can observe that this is the vertebral body, this is the vertebral body. In between that you'll find a hole over here, no? So this is your intervertebral foramen through which the spinal nerves are coming out.
The vertebrae through which nerve roots exit the spine. Foraminal stenosis occurs when joint degeneration causes the formation of bone spurs. This results in the narrowing of these openings, causing the nerve root to become compressed. Effects of this condition include pain or numbness in the area of the chest or abdomen supplied by the compressed nerve root. Foraminal stenosis occurs when joint degeneration causes the formation of bone spurs. This results in the narrowing of these openings, causing the nerve root to become compressed. Effects of this condition include pain or numbness in the area of the chest or abdomen supplied by the compressed nerve root.
See, I am explaining. See, this is the intervertebral disc. No, just below to that, here you'll find the body. No, above to the body, you'll find the intervertebral disc. Okay, so if any degeneration will occur at the intervertebral disc, or if you will find any bony spur, okay, bony spur means extra growth of the bone, no, unnecessary growth of the bone, that may pinch these nerve roots. Okay, so this pinching nerve, okay, or pinched nerve is maybe due to the wear and tear of your intervertebral disc or slippage of this disc. Okay, have you heard about the slip disc? Okay, that is the thing. So if the disc will be slipped to backward posteriorly, then it may pinch the nerve rootlet. Or if you'll find any bony spur, okay, is known as your what is that, osteophytes. Okay, if osteophyte will develop, osteophyte is nothing but the abnormal bone growth. If that will develop, then that may compress these nerve roots. Okay, that will cause numbness, pain and paresthesia to the targeted or distributed organ. Clear?